record this. Okay, so first one we're going to look at, guys. I'll just write this down, 2 seconds. So x over 2 minus 1 equals 3 minus x over 5. Okay, and you've got the answer there, just you've got a target. All right. Okay, so starting point, what are we looking at? Okay, so we're wanting to get the x's all on one side, and we're wanting to get the whole numbers all on one side. But this right-hand side is causing us a problem. All right, this right-hand side is one quite complex fraction. So there's a couple of ways we can deal with this. Okay, we can get rid of that 5. Okay, we could get rid of that 5. Or the way I'd probably do it would be split that up. Okay, so what way did you guys do it? So someone talk to me. So what would be your starting point? What would be your first point? Don't be shy. Okay, so I would leave that left-hand side alone. Okay, and I would do that. Break that up. Okay, because there's lots of different ways we can write out that fraction. Okay, but essentially that's what that fraction is telling me. Okay, so that's left me with something a wee bit more digestible. I can start working with that. I've got x, a term of x on its own on the right hand side, and there's a whole number on the left hand side I can bring across. Okay. So I would take that across to the left-hand side. Okay. And at the same time, I would bring this across to the right-hand side. Okay, so I can move that whole expression, that x over 5, okay, because it's an add or subtract. So I can move that whole expression over to the left-hand side. Okay. So I'm going to do that. It's a negative from the right-hand side, so it's going to become a positive on the left. Likewise, it's a negative, that -1, negative on the left-hand side. When I cross it over to the other side, it becomes a positive. Okay. Anyone not follow that? Is there a step there that doesn't make sense? We're happy. Okay. At this point, deal with the left-hand side and the right-hand side. Don't try and do them both at the same time. Okay. So what I'm going to do is tidy up that right-hand side first, and then I'll come back and I'll look at the left-hand side. Okay, so I'll just write the left-hand side out as is. And then I'll carry out some work on the right-hand side. Now that whole number, remember we can write whole numbers, okay, as a fraction. Okay, and it's just something over 1. Okay, so like the number 4 can be written as a fraction, 4 divided by 1. Okay, and that just gives us 2 fractions on the right-hand side that we can use our rules of fractions for and add them together. Okay, and it makes life a wee bit simpler trying to, instead of adding a full number, a whole number, and a fraction. Okay, we're going to add 2 fractions. Okay, so still focusing on this. Okay, just leaving that left-hand side as is. We can write it out so it's there. Okay, but nothing's changing on it. Okay, this right-hand side, we're going to use our kiss, smile. Okay, and we're just going to give ourselves something on the right-hand side that we can use. Okay, So that kiss smile just gives us 3 plus 5 over 5. Let's just complete that. So that left-hand side, I'm not changing yet. And that becomes 8 over 5. Okay, so that's as far as I can take that. I can't tidy that up anymore on the right-hand side. That's 8 over 5. Okay, the left-hand side, we've got two fractions, do the same, kiss smile. Okay, so cross multiplying, and then we're making the denominator the same. Okay, so 5x plus 2x over 10. The right hand side we've already done, that stays the same, no change there. Okay, now we've got something that we can start moving about. Okay, so we've got that denominator that we can move over to that right hand side. Okay, so we can start removing parts. Okay, on the left hand side, move it over to the right hand side. In fact, we could tidy up that top line, make that 7x over 10 equals 8 over 5. Okay. Now we can move that. Okay, so I was just collecting like terms there, forgot to do that step. So 5x plus 2x is just 7x. So just taking that, tidying up that top line. Okay, got divided by 10 down the bottom, so we just want to take that divided by 10 and move it over to the other side. Okay, we're dividing on the left-hand side, so we're multiplying on the right. Remember, we change side, we do the opposite. Okay, so change side, change sign. Okay, so that divide on the left-hand side becomes a multiply on the right. Okay, so that's 7x. Effectively, it becomes 8 times 10 over 5. Okay. So we're getting closer. Okay. Cutting it down. We want to leave x on its own. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is move that 7 across. Okay. 7 on the left-hand side is a multiple. Okay, so it's effectively that's telling me that it's 7 times x. Okay, so there's 7 of the x's. Okay, the dog's going around. Okay, so there's 7 x's on the left-hand side there. So I want to take that 7 to the right-hand side. Okay, so it's a multiple on the left, becomes a divide on the right. Okay, there's already a divide on the right-hand side. So what we're doing with that 7 is when we're taking it across, it's just going to be that 5 times 7. Oops. So we're putting it on the bottom line. We're doing that. Okay, is everyone comfortable with that? That sometimes confuses. Okay, so we're left with 80 over 35. Okay, we can simplify that down. Okay, so a normal one to look for is they're both in the 5 times table. Okay, 5 goes into 80 16 times. Okay, and 5 goes into 35 7 times. Okay. I hope that's the answer. 16 over 7. Okay. Then on do it any way different? Did anyone get the right answer but not those steps? Okay, when you get good and you're sort of comfortable with it, you can do the left-hand side and right-hand side at the same time. Okay, so deal with the left-hand side, tidy up the right-hand side, and follow that through in the same time, and it cuts down a lot of those lines. Okay, but just take it step by step. Okay, whatever you're comfortable with. Any questions on that one? (16/7) was correct. Yeah, 16/7. Super. Okay, no questions. This one, let's have a wee look. Okay, so solve the equation, that's what's there. Okay, so just give me 2 seconds, I'll write this out. 2x over 3 minus. Oops. Okay, so 2x over 3 minus 5x, 5 over 6. Super. Okay, so same things apply. Okay, so there's a couple of ways you can deal with this. Okay, you can keep everything on that left-hand side. Okay, and tidy up those fractions first, and then start moving things across. Okay, or you could move that to the right-hand side and that 2x over to the left. Okay, so you've got all the x's on the left-hand side and the numbers, okay, the whole numbers on the right-hand side. Okay, so does anyone have a preference? Okay, let's try it both ways, see where we get to. Okay, I've not actually done these questions, so bear with me. This one we actually, I think, was actually touched on. Okay, so what I mean by we can deal with the left-hand side and tidy up that as a fraction. We can do the cross multiply and then make the denominator the same, and then we can tidy up. Okay, so we don't necessarily have to move all the x's over and the whole numbers. Okay, so doing that would give us 12x minus 15 over 18, and that would give us 2x. Okay. That 18, when we move that to the other side, okay, that gives us 12x minus 15, 2x multiplied by 18. Two times 18 is 36. Okay, and then at this point, we've got rid of that fraction, or the fractions on the left-hand side. Got a bunch of numbers, we can just move sides and we can solve for x. Okay, so we can move that negative 15 over to the right-hand side. Negative becomes a positive. Likewise, we can move that 36x over to the left-hand side. Okay, positive on the right-hand side becomes a negative on the left. Okay, so 12x negative 36x equals 15. Okay. Everyone comfortable with that step? Okay, so 12x minus 36. 12 minus 36 is minus 24. X, that equals 15. Take that negative 24 over to the other side. You have a positive divided by a negative. The answer, the outcome of it becomes a negative. Okay, so it's just a case of tidying that right-hand side up. What numbers goes into both of them? Okay, we can divide both of those numbers by 3. Okay, we get negative 15 divided by 3 is 5 over 8, which is the answer. Yeah, negative 5 over 8. Okay. So I've said up the top there, and a lot of times we've been doing, or every time we've done it so far, we've moved all the x's to the left and we've moved all the numbers to the right. Okay, so let's have a wee go at that, just in case that's the process that you work through. Okay, oops. Let's see if we get the same result. Okay, so I'm just going to write, in fact, we should get the same result. Okay, so I'm just going to write it out again. Okay, so starting with the same thing. Okay, so we'll just look at it in a slightly different way. As I say, maths, there's lots of ways to, what's the same? Lots of ways to skin a cat. Not particularly nice. Okay, so lots of different ways to do it. So let's move the x's over to one side. So what I want to do is move that 2x across here. Okay, and then this negative 5 over 6, move that over here. Okay, so that becomes 2x over 3 minus 2x, and that becomes 5 over 6. Okay. So another way to write 2x is 2x over 1. Okay, and at that point, we can do our cross multiple, get an x term on the top, and be left with a single denominator down the bottom. Okay, so is everyone comfortable with what I just did there? So they're taking that 2x. Essentially, when we see a number like that and there's nothing underneath it, we could just write divided by 1. Okay, so dividing anything by 1 just gives that term. Okay, so cross multiplying gives us 2x, right, minus 3 times 2x, 6x over 3. Okay, 2x minus 6x is minus 4x over 3. Okay, and then just a case of taking that over. Then we're just simplifying that, okay, we can divide that top line by 3 and that bottom line by 3. We should be left with the same answer. Okay, so that's just another way of writing it out. Okay. Probably the way I would say to do it, okay, so every example we've done to date, okay, we've moved the x's to one side and we've moved the numbers and then we've tidied everything up. Okay, so that way I just did it. Okay, I would probably say, or probably recommend, that's the way I would do it in the exam. Okay, or that's the way I would practice it. Okay, but just be aware that there's other ways out there. Okay, so if you see a worked example from another resource, they might do it in a slightly different way. Okay, what you see on screen, I would probably go for. Okay. And then the last one was a wee tricky number. Just double check, -5 over 8. Okay, so the last one gives us or throws something that we've not seen yet. Okay, we've not done an example of actually, which is interesting. Okay, and it gives us the x on the bottom of a fraction. Okay, now that's not something to be feared. Okay, we deal with it in the exact same way. So when we move that x over to the other side, which we'll do eventually, when we move that x over to the other side, it just becomes a multiple. Okay, so let's work through that. Okay, so I'll just write that out. 2 over x plus 9 equals 16. Okay, so first thing, let's get all the x terms on the left hand side, all the numbers on the right hand side. Okay, so there is only one x term that's already on the left hand side. There's a number on the left hand side we want to move across. Okay, so we can move that straight over. Okay, so that becomes 2 over x equals 16 minus 9. 2 over x equals 16 minus 7. Okay, and we're left with that. Okay, now we've got an x in the bottom of a fraction. And as I said, we're dealing with it in the exact same way. Okay, so if that was a number on the bottom of the fraction, we'd take it across and we'd multiply 7 by whatever number that was. We do the same with the x. Okay, so when we take that x across, it's just 7 multiplied by x, which we'll just write as 7x. Okay, and there's your equation. Okay, we want to leave x on its own, so move that 7 over. Okay. Writing it out like that is the exact same as writing it out as that. Okay, so 2 over 7 equals x. You would get the marks. You don't need to necessarily write it x equals 2 over 7. Okay, remember, it's just a seesaw. Okay, so when you've got that equal sign in, both sides are balanced. Okay, so 2 over 7 equals x. So we could rotate that seesaw and have x equals 2 over 7. Okay, so both sides are always going to be balanced when you see that equal sign. Okay. So That's an interesting one. That just throws in that we added bit there of having x in the bottom of a fraction. Okay, which we certainly didn't do as an example. Okay. Any questions, guys? I'm not sure. Next one. Okay. If you do have any questions at a later point, or you don't want to raise it here, throw me a wee note, throw me an email. Okay. And we can even discuss it as a group on Thursday. I won't raise who raised it. Okay, but we can look at it. So don't sit in a problem. Okay, we're getting too close. Don't sit in a problem. Raise it, let me know, and we can get it sorted. Okay, superb. I say we take a wee break at this point. Okay, clear our heads, let the dogs out. Stop sharing. Okay.